Down to item D, read the ordinance, please.
Item 11D, an ordinance authorizing advances and transfers between various funds of the City of Huber Heights, Ohio, and amending ordinance 2012-0-2005 by making supplemental appropriations for expenses of the City of Huber Heights, Ohio, for the period beginning January 1st, 2013, and ending December 31st, 2013, various capital improvement and operations funding, and reappropriation of unspent 2012 projects, and declaring an emergency at the first reading.
Once again, I'll call on our Finance Director, Jim Bell, for comments.
Yes, Mayor. Just a couple of the highlights of this supplemental. This is our first changes being recommended to the 2013 budget. We've got some, as you read in the title, there are some unspent 2012 projects that need to be reappropriated. Those are in this list. As our, I'd like to point out a Walmart donation, $5,000 for crime prevention expenses. So when we get a donation that we weren't sure that we were going to get, when it does come in, I need to come to you and ask for you to increase that line item on the budget. So that's part of this. There's also from time to time, we have fire insurance, escrow deposits. One of those has come in, and so we need to appropriate the expenses on that. And the one item that I want to make a large dollar amount here, $179,000, is the amount for a budget reduction. As I told you at the December council meeting, you were approving a like an advance payment on our health insurance because we were going with a new company. And I told you at that time that when we get to 2013, I would come back to you, and since you spent it in 12, we're going to reduce the 2013 budget by that same amount.
Very good. Okay. Council? Mark Campbell?
Move to waive.
Thank you. Karen? Second. Discussion? Go ahead, Tyler.
The one thing that I noticed here that I just need some clarification on is the possible advance to the fire fund for liquidity.
Yes.
What's that about?
Well, that is, and I don't think we're going to have to do that, but if the income tax and property tax funds don't come in quick enough to support the fire fund expenses as they come through the year, because there's the general fund subsidizes the fire fund about $5 million a year. So if those dollars aren't coming in quick enough in the months of January and early February, because we've got payrolls to pay, then this would allow an advance. And the reason I've got two advances down there. One is to go from the fire capital to the fire fund, and then obviously you'd have to pay that back. So it may be a matter of needing maybe $50,000, maybe $100,000 in the months of early February, and then when the property taxes come in later February, we'd advance that money right back. But right now, I'm pretty confident that that's not going to happen, but I wanted to put it on here just in case.
And it's an up to. It doesn't mean that it has to be the full 600 moved and the full 600 back.
Right. This is just approving the budget to allow for that much. We're probably not going to be anywhere near that, but with I don't want to take any chances, and we've got payrolls that could amount to that much money between now and the end of February. So if there's any delay, or if we don't get our property taxes till maybe March, then we might need that kind of an advance.
Since you brought that up, Mr. Bell, I'd like to thank you for being thorough and looking ahead in that to make sure we don't run into a little rush meeting or whatever kind of thing. I think it's a good idea, the way you're handling it. So, we've got it on the floor. Want to call the roll?
Mrs. Varga?
Yes.
Mr. Lyons?
Yes.
Mr. Starline?
Yes.
Mrs. Blankenship?
Yes.
Mrs. Dale?
Yes.
Mrs. Caleb?
Yes.
Mrs. Dudley?
Yes.
Mr. Campbell?
Yes.
Passes 8-0. Entertain a motion to adopt. Ed Lyons?
I move to adopt.
Lou Dale?
Second.
Discussion? Call the roll?
Mr. Lyons?
Yes.
Mr. Starline?
Yes.
Mrs. Blankenship?
Yes.
Mrs. Dale?
Yes.
Mrs. Caleb?
Yes.
Mrs. Dudley?
Yes.
Mr. Campbell?
Yes.
Mrs. Varga?
Yes.
Passes 8-0. Once again, Jim, thank you. Move down to the planning department.